So no matter if you're working from an office or you're working from home, a lot of us out there start our day with a race against time. Never enough time in the day to get done what we want. In a lot of cases, we're very distracted today as well too. There's a lack of focus because of all the email messages coming through, the Teams chats, as well as the phone calls. And when you think about all the work that piles up, often cases it's a bunch of administrative work that's not necessarily strategic or making us more productive, but it's just very time consuming. What if I told you though that you could win back at least 1 hour per day every single day of the work week? So recently I set a new goal and challenge to try to save 1 hour per day leveraging Microsoft 365 Copilot. If you think about that, that's 5 hours per week, and that's 20 hours per month. What would you do with an additional 20 hours of time savings? In this video, I want to show you guys how I leverage Copilot to save over an hour per day. But before I do, I quickly just wanted to get into my role and some of the things that I do day to day so you can understand where I'm deriving these time savings. My current position is the VP of Product Development, so I try to spend a lot of my time making strategic decisions. I do manage 3 departments, which contribute to about 40 different employees. I report directly to the CEO, and on a daily basis, on average, I get about 50 emails per day. I have about 4 to 5 meetings, and I'm included in about 6 to 10 different chats, whether that's individual chats or group chats. Okay, so before we get into the demos here, I wanted to show you guys an exercise that you could perform to start to identify where you spend the most time in your day and where a tool like Copilot can come in to give you the most time savings. So with this, I have a basic Venn diagram that I've created here that'll help you out with just doing a mental model of where you spend your time. On one side, I want you to start to list out all the time-consuming tasks or activities that you perform day to day or week to week in your job. And then on the other side, I want you to start to list out all the manual or repetitive tasks that you do as well. And here in the middle is where they intersect, where there's overlap between both. An example of that for me, and for many of us out there most likely, is organizing your inbox. This is both time-consuming, manual, and repetitive as well, so that can fit here in the center. The time-consuming tasks are to vary by the individual in your role. For me, as an example of this, drafting a presentation deck, something that I don't do very often, but when I do, it's very time-consuming in nature. And on the manual repetitive side, as an example here, again, remember, I have around 4 to 5 meetings on average per day. Recapping meetings is something that's manual, it's repetitive, it doesn't take me long, it's about 5 minutes or so, but given the amount of meetings I have, that time definitely adds up. So definitely perform this exercise either before you watch these demos or afterwards, just to identify where you're spending a lot of time today. And with that, let's dive in so I can show you how I leverage Copilot today. Okay, so one of the first topics I want to cover here is time savings through weekly and daily preparation. This is very big, and I think you'll find this is a common theme. These activities that we're going to perform not only save you time, but make you a better employee and more organized as well, which should reduce your stress, I would hope. So my schedule, I always put this recurring weekly closure meeting on my books so I can go take some time to summarize any follow-up items from the week and then start to plan for the next week as well too, to maximize my time. I need to do that in order to be able to maximize the strategic thinking I have to do as well. So one of the first examples that I can provide in here as far as a great prompt to use is kind of evaluating your calendar and thinking about meetings that maybe you need to follow up on or didn't have enough time to really capture all the notes that you were looking to do as well. So the prompt that you're going to follow here in order to leverage this within your work is, what are some of the follow-up items I need to look at based on and then insert X meeting. You can do that here within Copilot by using the / and then searching for the meeting that you want to get a recap on. It'll be able to be selected from here. I can go ahead and submit this. And from here, I get this very detailed summary that's really condensed as well too, just from the bullets of the action items that are supposed to come out of that meeting. And some of them require my attention as well too. I think the cool part is you can not only get this recap, but then you can additionally interface to get more information pulled out. So in this case, this was a call with a client getting feedback around some issues she was experiencing with our client portal. And in this case, we're saying we're going to fix the admin issue that she's having as well. And I quickly want to get that over to my developer team so they can start to work on that. In this case, I've made a little blurb that says, write me a ticket that I can provide to my developers that details out the issue that Sophia was experiencing with the admin access, include potential steps to take to reproduce and any troubleshooting steps taken as well. In this way, it produces this draft here that I can leverage to go ahead and really move quickly into creating a really well-defined ticket for my developers as well too, to go ahead and investigate this issue. This is just one example of how I can action off the follow-up items here that used to maybe take me 5 to 10 minutes per action item. That's really reducing the amount of time. Even if it's just a couple items or a couple minutes per action item, it's a lot of time saved. Additionally, if I wanted to pivot and follow up with Sophia, make sure I have a touch point here to make sure I follow up with the issues that she was experiencing, I can pivot into Outlook. I can search for an email that we had to start this correspondence. And within there, I can actually pull up the to-do integration and drag and drop this over as well. I'm going to go ahead and just call it a new name here, which is follow-up Sophia. And then if I go ahead and right click on this, I can go ahead into setting a due date. And I want to say I want to follow up on the 18th. So again, this is just keeping me organized, making sure things don't fall through the cracks, and getting me really into a good groove of best practices. Another way to save a lot of time is looking at how you can develop project plans based off of kickoff meetings, things like that. That's common for us in product, but I feel like it's very common in most businesses as well, that you have some sort of discovery meeting for a project initiative that you're going to take on. And so a prompt for this would be create a project brief based on the meeting transcript from insert meeting. In this case, I've inserted that. We had this knowledge base article review internally here, and then I've also be sure to include an overview, goals, list of team members, and initial product deliverables or project deliverables. So this has gone ahead and created a really tailored project brief based on our transcript here and everything that we talked about as far as the kickoff call. And this has the overview, the goals to team members, and the initial project deliverables as well. So this is not only giving us really good context to start off with, but it's expediting our time into thinking about the next steps here as well. If I pivot into a tool like Loop, I can actually create a template of a project brief here. And I'm going to go ahead and just say, this is for KBE articles. And then I can begin to copy and paste the activity that we had directly from here. And the cool part here is you can interface with Copilot to actually go ahead and modify the content as well too on the fly. So in this case, I've highlighted it and said, make this into a checklist. And it goes ahead and adds these items here as checklist items. And then we can go through and fill out the remaining information. I'm not going to do so for the sake of time. But the really cool part about Loop is that you can create these into Loop components that you can easily share out as well too and have immediate project deliverables. So this is helping me with planning because it's going into thinking about what do we need to start executing on and what's the next meeting that we need to line up as well. So in this case, if I go back, again, we're dialoguing with Copilot here to find more deliverables. In this case, the basis of the prompt is make me an agenda for a meeting invite I want to send out as a follow-up, and then insert your specific context here as well. In this case, we're talking about Dave, we're talking about leveraging SharePoint for knowledge base articles, which is the immediate follow-up item that came out of that meeting. So this is what it produces here, which is really spot on and accurate with the kind of meeting invite that I'd want to send. I didn't have to write up any of this, and generally I wouldn't in a lot of cases, and the meeting will be more ambiguous, maybe less effective as well. So within Outlook, I can quickly just copy and paste that meeting agenda, and now I have something that I can send out immediately, again, reducing the amount of time that I had to spend typing up this meeting agenda. And again, probably wouldn't have been as verbose or as descriptive, given that I'm trying to save my own time here as well too. Microsoft Loop, I use this for weekly planning agendas as well too. In a lot of cases, I'm crafting both tasks that I want to complete as far as my goals for the week of deliverables that helps me create calendar items, but I can also tie these into the to-do app as well. So I can quickly just run through them, but oftentimes I often get inspiration for my to-do items also through evaluating and reanalyzing my email messages as well. So back in Copilot chat, I could say, give the prompt of summarizing my email over the past few days. And for me, in a lot of cases, I want to additionally give the context only from internal users. So in this case, our company's SourcePath, so I want to give that in there as far as context goes. I will be transparent. This is something that I think could improve over time as well, because it only summarizes really what's very recent in your inbox. Doesn't really go back more than a few days. I'd sometimes like it to go back kind of a week in time. But in this case, we got this nice summary here, and this first one is talking about this interaction to help with data warehousing. And he suggested this meeting for next week so I can discuss the matter. So I quickly wanted to schedule and send out a meeting invite for that as well too, just based off this summary. And the cool part is you can actually click on these and it'll give you the source of that email. You can just click on it to open it in the browser. And then in this case, I can just go quickly into scheduling and responding with a meeting invite. So the last example I want to give as far as preparation goes is just weekly preparation. So if I take a look at my calendar for the next week, I have a couple meetings here with some individuals, and one of them on here I really want to have some better preparation for, which is this meeting right here. So back in Copilot chat, I can use the prompt of write me a bulleted list of items I can use to prepare for, and then again, you're listing the name of the meeting, and then you append based on previous chat and email conversations. So this goes ahead and gives me the output here, but the cool part is it references all of the documentation that I've been using or been part of to collaborate, including emails. This is a CSV file. This is another file or calendar invite that we had previously with some meeting notes in it as well too, that it's summarized and cited here as part of this reference. So this alone is making my meetings more effective, but again, saving me the time of having to track all this information down, kind of give it into that summary myself to really help me prepare. You could do this even seconds before the meeting, honestly, have much better output. So if I take a look at averaging out the time savings I get from the weekly planning as well as that daily planning of interacting with all my meetings, getting the follow-up task, actioning off those follow-up tasks by interfacing with Copilot, on average I'd say this saves me about 20 minutes per day. Okay, as we look now into email, I think this is going to be a common one for most people out there, especially given the volume of emails we get per day in our day-to-day. And what I like to do in my day-to-day now, instead of having all this tenant switching and the alert messages, is what we call batching, which is simply saying that 2 times during the day, I have specified times that I go in and I actually monitor my email and kind of recap and reorganize it as well too. But Copilot helps me do that even faster, and the batching process is just keeping me focused throughout the day as well. So I just wanted to point that out. One of the best things that it can do for you, as an example here, if you're scanning through your emails, I flagged this email chain because I haven't had a chance to read it yet. If I was going to go look at this, this is a very long email chain with a lot of different participants that's been going on since back, actually, this first one here is back in November here, and it's carried all the way through March, and we have multiple days that we have correspondence. So one of the great things we can do here is actually use Copilot to summarize this entire email chain and pull out the key insights as well too. This previously would have taken me a very long time to kind of recap everything that's going on in that meeting. I can click on this button and start to work on something else real quick or look at other emails while it's doing the summarization. You can see here it's created this concise list here out of all the emails just to give me out what's the key concepts or key insights as well as what's kind of going on right now. And let's say I want to forward this to another member of my team. I can click on forward, and I could use Copilot to actually draft something that I want to send over as well too by just using the / here and then clicking on draft with Copilot. And in here I could say, summarize this email so I could send to my colleague Brian, click on generate, and this will go through and do the same thing. You could also say something like, additionally give them the context that he needs to follow up with X. So it's a quick way to save other people's time here as well as you're corresponding with potentially a long email chain. Maybe it's just a long email in general. You could do the same thing here with Copilot. So this just gives a quick summary here that I can quickly keep. I could iterate off of it, but I'm able to now go through and organize my inbox at a very drastic speed as far as everything that I can do really quickly. The other thing I can do here to just speed up time overall, this is an email message I got forwarded over to me that basically says, hey, I need to reach out to this client to help see how we can improve their experience with the platform. And in this particular case, I can draft a new email here that I'm going to use to try to engage with the client. And I'm going to use Draft with Copilot. In this case, though, I'm going to use something that I leverage a lot, which is a template that basically introduces myself and also gets or asks the request of setting up a call. So in this particular case, I've said, write an email that I can use to send to a client who has had a negative experience with Quest, introduce myself and my role here at SourcePass, be empathetic about their frustrations with the portal, request that we take some time to screen share so I can gather more of their feedback about the portal, recommend using my bookings link and email signature to schedule a time that works best. So I'm going to go ahead and let Copilot generate this, but the cool part is that this is a template that I could potentially use and just use in the future so I can, again, cut down my time on having to write all that out. Taking that time to write that prompt probably took me about 30 seconds to a minute. But this email here, I send out pretty frequently, maybe not necessarily on the frustration side, but just wanting to get feedback from our users as well. And so this is giving me a complete summary. It's using the empathy that I mentioned here and asking for the screen share and using the bookings link. So I like this. I want to use this. I'm going to eliminate this because my email signature is automatically attached. But the really cool part is I can just copy this text. I can use the add-on in Outlook for my templates. Click on continue, click on template, and say this title is going to be feedback request, and just paste in this particular template that I can leverage as well. So that's why if I go ahead and delete this or discard this, and then I look at creating a new email, I can go ahead and just simply click on my templates and add this directly in my email as well. So saving me a lot of time there just with repetitive emails, repetitive templates that I might use, and I can leverage Copilot to generate that initial draft. Speaking of drafts with emails, the next thing you might want to do is add some color or summarize a document maybe that others have been calling on or collaborating on to ask for additional feedback as well here too. And so the prompt that we can use for this one is, help me draft a new email to my team that outlines the key takeaways from, and then you'll insert the document as well. So in this one, I'm going to use this phased approach to Quest adoption, and it's going to pull out all the key insights here. This is compiled a nice little summary here I can send out. Because I'm a manager of different various people, I often assign things out or task them out to individuals. So I could also do the same with each of these items here across my team. And I do that very frequently because I manage 3 different departments again, and I really need to quickly summarize artifacts that are moving through the company and action them off so that I'm giving the right context. But also, again, this is where a lot of time consumption goes into play as well too. From just being able to do that, I can simply copy this now and put this into an email message to my team. If I take a look at my batching processes twice a day with Microsoft Copilot, I'm saving around 10 minutes per day by sifting through those emails, generating replies, summarizing long email threads as well. Shifting into meetings here, this is another time-consuming one for me. Again, I have 4 to 5 meetings per day on average, and in a lot of cases, I'm taking notes or trying to take notes and multitask in those meetings where now Copilot's taking over that. But one of the best things here is just the meeting recap. So we have all the meeting notes of things that were discussed as far as the follow-up items, and action items that are really going out as part of that as well too. So again, we talk about accountability, we talk about follow-up. There's a lot going on per day. If you think about action items coming out of every meeting, and if you're assigned to them, how do you manage that? And for me, that was really chaotic before, and it took a lot of time to do that manually because often cases I was manually summarizing the meeting and going in and manually actioning off these items as well too. But now when you want to recap a meeting, or maybe it's been a week later, you can go into Copilot, you can actually interface here and see the follow-up task, and you can easily mention people in the chat that were part of that meeting and really get a better purview over everything going on within that as well too. So it's a really cool experience. Again, I would say this saves me on average about 5 minutes per meeting just doing this piece of it. That doesn't include all the follow-up items that we get out of it as well. And these notes are really well written from the transcript as well too. So something even I couldn't summarize as well. In that regard, it's a big deal for me to have that level of a meeting recap as well too. The other thing that happens a lot is overlap with meetings. In often cases, I do get double or triple booked with meetings. And so now, instead of having to follow up manually with individuals and kind of ask what happened in this meeting, what were the outcomes, things like that, you can actually go and interface with Copilot to see a lot of that summary as well. So this was a use case where I missed this meeting just because I had this conflict here, but I can actually click into that within my calendar, and I can see, in this case, the recap up at the top, and I can see all of the meeting notes. And again, just like before, I can get caught up. I can ask, everything or I can see everything that's going on within the meeting invite and kind of take some notes for myself that might be used as action items or to follow up with the individuals that were part of this meeting. The other really cool thing here is you can actually interface with Copilot much like you'd be talking to a human being, just interfacing with the transcript. So maybe there's some things in the follow-up task or the follow-up items that don't really cover maybe questions you had about what came out of that meeting. So I could say something like, what was the overall sentiment with the new Power BI reports created from the NOC team? And this is the other cool part too, is actually can read a certain level of sentiment based off of what's said, tone of voice, things of that nature as well. And this gives me a really nice response that mentions that it was positive overall, but includes some feedback for suggestions and improvement. And then they gave me these improvement items. So as a manager of people, this is something that I really value because this is what I want to hear as part of how the team's performing and how it's affecting other departments as well too. This is something that would have taken me a manual conversation with somebody, such as the people who are on the call, and that's consuming both of our time, maybe 10 minutes, maybe it's 20 minutes that I save just by being able to go in and interface with this as well and be able to see exactly that level of feedback, and it cites the exact minute in the transcript of when this was spoken for the feedback. So if you really wanted to, you could click on that and you can go and view the recording here as well to get to the places that you need to see instead of listening to, in this case, I think this is an hour-long recording as well. I don't really have time to do that given my day-to-day, and this is a really great way to save a lot of time just on getting the key pieces of information I needed from this meeting when I wasn't able to make it overall. So again, given I have 4 to 5 meetings per day on average, and using Copilot to summarize that and action off items saves me about an average of 5 minutes per meeting, I'm saving about another 20 minutes per day leveraging Copilot within Teams. So shifting this next topic here of being a better employee or a better manager, I think Copilot has a lot of cool capabilities here. And these are things that aren't necessarily things that I really capitalized on or thought about before using Copilot that helps me organize a lot more. I'm going to start with the employee side of the house and just being a better employee. Like I mentioned earlier, I report directly to the CEO. So I often need to think about, was there any action items I need to follow up with him on that we talked about, or any correspondence? Because usually, in most cases, since he's the CEO, it's going to be pretty important for me to do. But I think in any role you're at, you want to be in lockstep with what your boss has requested of you to make sure that you're not letting things fall through the cracks. So in this case, I'm going to prompt with, summarize any interactions in chat and email from, and then you insert, again, in this case, the person that is your manager or direct report. In this case, I'm going to say Chuck, and then let me know if there's any items I need to follow up on. So in this case, I get some pretty direct responses here about items that I maybe have forgotten about, given that there's, again, a lot going on. And this is something that, again, would take me about 3 to 5 minutes, maybe looking through emails to see any recent correspondence, looking through our chat messages, things like that, just to be able to uncover, make sure I'm not missing anything. Now, as far as being a better manager, one thing that I haven't started doing yet that I'm starting to do now because I'm realizing the potential of it is starting to record my one-on-ones with my individual employees just to capture that feedback, talk about follow-ups, and then use that for performance-based reviews that we have in our HR platform as well. So I'm not necessarily doing that today, but when you do that, you would likely have a recurring meeting, with that individual that you would be conversing with as far as that one-on-one meeting. So you can say, summarize my meeting notes from, and then again, you would type out that meeting that you have. In this case, it's with Brittany, Nick one-on-one, And then you could say something like, to leverage as part of my annual review. Now, I haven't been recording these, so there's no actual transcript that I can pull from, but that's something that I'm looking to do moving forward so I can leverage that. Now, as part of those performance reviews, I sometimes space on getting all the necessary detail in there or adding the complete detail that there should be, given that we have so many meetings throughout the year. But the other piece of this that I wanted to touch on is that performance-based review, as far as collecting all the evidence and referencing that on the call, takes me a lot of time. And this is something I could aggregate it all. And for me as a manager, given the amount of direct reports and downstream hires that we have, this is a lot of time that I spend. And this alone could be spending or saving me at least maybe an hour every quarter, given that it's summarizing the things that I do. I think more so given the volume that I go through as well. The other cool thing though that you want to do as a manager is provide praise and uplift people where needed. And that's another item that you can do based off of Copilot summarizing the information within chats and emails. So referencing Brittany again, I could use this prompt of look through all my chats and emails and include Brittany and draft me a way to provide her praise. So this has gone through, kind of summarized things that she's been doing recently and provided me this output that I could show here as well. I think this is helpful. I don't want this to be a supplement for actually thinking genuinely about people and recognizing their accomplishments natively, but this is a way you could augment that again with some of the ways in which it's pulling a lot of the data, maybe that you've forgotten. And again, for me, I have a lot of things going on, so it's really hard to keep up with all the individual details, but a lot of our individuals are really outperforming, and I want to recognize that more than I am doing today. So as I mentioned, I'm not using this heavily today for my interactions either with my boss or with my downstream employees, but it's something I plan to pick up. Right now, currently, probably saves me about, on average, about 5 minutes per day. Final section I want to highlight, day-to-day tasks, really varies for me. It can be involving drafting new documents, which I'm going to show you here, PowerPoint slides, interfacing with Excel. It really varies. I may even be creating PowerShell scripts for things I'm doing with my YouTube channel with Copilot, and that helps me draft those as well too. Don't do that every day, but every day I find something that I can leverage here to kickstart me into saving a lot of time with these day-to-day tasks as well. So this first example here, we need to draft a client-facing communication that goes out, just talks about we're end-of-lifing this legacy portal for their ticket submissions, and we're moving into a new platform as well. So this is a great way, and I'm not a great writer, but this is a great way for Copilot to kind of write a first draft that I can just simply iterate off of and not spend all the time writing out all the text. So in this case, I've just written a simple paragraph here that says we need to create client-facing communication that talks about transitioning from a legacy ticketing platform to our new platform Quest. Talk about how the new platform will provide a better experience for ticket submissions to ticket tracking visibility. Write a small summary of how to submit tickets in Quest. Tell them that the new portal will be live in July and that they will no longer be able to access the legacy portal starting at the end of June. So this is very basic. I could get more descriptive here, but I can go ahead and generate this. It'll draft a initial copy here that I can subsequently modify either with Copilot or going in and modifying manually as well too. In this case, it created a really nice summary here. It gave us some better talking points around the benefits of the new platform, which I think is a bigger anchor. It didn't give the steps that I was hoping for as far as submitting the tickets within there, but it says, please see the attachment for the step-by-step guide. I could actually just say this, copy this right here, and rewrite that particular section. Say, actually, no, write out the steps here in this email. And this is something that is really seamless. And again, it took me like a minute basically to write that paragraph, and it created this really nice form copy here that's got correct grammar. It's really succinct in that way that we can send out or hopefully prep for our users within our customer base as well. Another example, going back to our Venn diagram of thinking about things that are time consuming, is writing a job description. I don't do this very often, but when I do, it often takes me at least an hour, I think, to come up with a great job description that mirrors a lot of what I'm seeing online as well. So I can actually write a first draft that expedites my time in this way as well too. And for the sake of time, I really wrote this basic one here that's less than the paragraph. In most cases, when I've done this, I've added a lot more clarity on what we're looking for here to create the best job description out of the gate. It's kind of listing some of the features or qualities that I would want, including some more of the targeted responsibilities for our company. In this case, though, I just said, hey, we're trying to hire this director of software development, use existing job descriptions online for this position to help craft the key responsibilities and qualifications. This person will be in charge of our software development team based out of the Philippines. So in this case, it created a really verbose summary here of key responsibilities, qualifications. And again, this is pulling things from publicly available knowledge. So it's really pulling in a lot of the qualities that I can check through these and kind of do some QC just around which bullets that I want to keep, which ones I want to modify. But in a lot of cases, it's part of the role that I'd like to have, given that it's part of SourcePass, but just in general, for this position. So this alone, again, saves me really a lot of time when it comes to these types of tasks. And I don't do these every day. It's not like I'm writing a job description every day, but this is kind of a direct or drastic example where I save probably at least 30 to 45 minutes given the interfacing with this type of AI to create this job description versus doing that all manually on my own and kind of composing that ad hoc as well too. So this is where I'm saving exponential time. But again, this corresponds to a lot of these documents and artifacts that I'm working with. Last example here that I want to show, given that again, I'm in more of a strategic position, I often do a lot of brainstorming, write a bunch of notes and documents or loop, and then I have to go present that to my team or to executive leadership, whatever it might be. So a great example or application that I've been using as well too is leveraging my notes and documents to go ahead and craft new PowerPoint presentations as well too. So I have this document here. It's pretty lengthy. Again, just kind of going back to that real quick here. It is just 2 pages, but it's kind of got a nice summary, and I want to put this into a nice PowerPoint format as well. So if I go back here and go back into my PowerPoint presentation and click into Copilot here, and I basically just wanted to create me a first draft, right? So it says create a presentation file, then you just paste in the shareable link that you can get from the document, and that goes ahead and starts working on the presentation, which will include things like notes for each slide, and it also creates graphics. It tries to, at least. I think that's some area where it could get a lot better, especially starting to use other newer technologies like DALL-E and things like that. But wait for this to finish here. Okay, so this completed here. It gives me the summary of what it outlined as part of the presentation as well as the slides that it created. And then it says you can use Designer for adjusting the layout. So this is a pretty dark theme here for what it creates. Again, I think from a graphic perspective, I love to see it adopt our internal marketing content for what SourcePass uses. But overall, from a formatting perspective, this just leaps me into creating something that I can quickly modify. And this isn't perfect. I've never had one where I've said, yeah, 100% ready to go. And in this way, and some of these graphics are a little interesting for what you see here. But overall, it's giving you kind of the structure and the format that you'd want to use for highlighting the major topics from that, and I can speak to it and have more visuals versus taking my team through a painful process of reading a Word doc back to them and summarizing it that way. I'm a very visual person, so having it in more of a PowerPoint format is definitely ways in which I like to articulate views, especially given it might be a project vision or project brief that we're kicking off. And I want that to be, in a readable format, consumable format, no matter your different styles within the company as well too. So time savings on this on a daily basis varies for me, depends on the task. I mentioned the job description might save me a lot of time versus just kind of summarizing a document or interfacing with the document, maybe save me a couple minutes here or there. But I would say on average, I get about 15 minutes of time savings per day by interacting with Copilot within the Office apps. Okay guys, that's everything I had for you today. To close us out here, I quickly just want to recap and point out a very big important factor about everything that I just showed you today. I'm not just using Copilot in my day-to-day, but I've actually changed my entire workflows and processes to revolve around Copilot. And I think that's an important distinction, because if you have this tool and you don't change your workflows or you don't change your processes around it, you're not really going to adopt it. You're not going to experience the time savings. So it does take that requirement as far as the investment in time to think about those administrative tasks that you do, but also thinking about how you can become better organized leveraging this technology. So definitely comment below with anything that you had as far as any questions about anything I went through. And maybe if you're using Copilot today, definitely comment below your time savings on a daily basis or on a weekly basis as well too. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.